So this is my presentation for the phototherapy conference this year, and I'd really like to thank Neil Gibson and Ruth Davey for this event and for giving us the chance to share our work with the rest of the world. So my name's Kerrilee Barrett, and I have a master's degree in photography, which I studied over in China, in Dalian, China, in 2006, and around that time I realised the kind of use that I had for photography and how it can help people on healing journeys, in my case from trauma. So the first images are 3 pinhole images. The first 2 show me having flashbacks, and then the third is some Smurfs. These are something that I used to use in my sand trays when I was first having therapy over in China, which is where after I did my MA, I stayed there for a little while longer. And yeah, these were some images. Then we've got the images from the Abandon project. So as I mentioned before, there's kind of images of me holding my mum's bear. I'm wearing the clothes that I bought for her funeral. I wasn't present at her funeral. I had gone back to Jordan after being with her when she did pass away. And the empty chair is like a representation of her, and it just, some of these images are quite spooky. When we went to some of the abandoned houses, they were actually quite creepy, and it was quite difficult to kind of stay by them. I mean, some of them were just, there was a lot of feeling around them. And there were some images, my friend who was helping me, I was setting everything up and then using a timer. My friend who was looking after my camera, I just kept saying to her, there's just something really creepy. It was quite scary. So the abandoned bears, during lockdown, I'd gone to stay with some friends because I was having a really hard time kind of managing. And I had my mum's bear and my old bear with me, and we smashed a lot of glass. They had some stables. We smashed some glass with some paint. I made some mosaics. There's pictures of me with the bears and kind of being unseen and unheard. There's the bears rescuing each other. We took the bears down to the White City Estate, which is somewhere I've spent a lot of time, and kind of there's lots of representation of things that have happened. But also there was a sense of fun. A lot of my friends kind of got involved with the abandoned bears and new bears that I bought to kind of represent a new life. So we were basically abandoning bears all over the place and had a lot of fun doing that, actually. The brains. I love brains. Our brain protects us. It does so many things for us, and I wanted to celebrate that. And kind of came up with a series of images. I bought an ice cube tray in the beginning that was brain shaped, and actually made some silicone molds with it. I kind of used purple to represent the traumatized brain, and then I froze thoughts in it and then melted them. When it was ice, we made some more ice but with lights in, and that was kind of lit up, and then as they melted, the lights were the only thing that was left. I made some lino prints with brains and then kind of wrote things around them. I wrapped brains up in lights. That was quite a big part of what was going on for me, and kind of celebrating my brain a lot as well. And then came nature. I think I was really struck on a walk one day. I saw a tree and there were these things growing out of it, and I was just like, this is absolutely fascinating, the way the leaves were unfurling, and I just became absolutely fascinated. I was literally walking by a road that kind of went onto the M1. I actually had to cross the M1 slip road on that walk. I was walking to meet a friend in lockdown, and I was just absolutely mesmerised by these trees that were growing like right next to a road. It wasn't the best environment, but these trees were beautiful. And I remember looking up later and finding out it was a conker tree. I was like, what? And I love watching the life cycle of nature. And then we've got the forests, and it's just absolutely spectacular. And then reminders of childhood. So dandelions, and kind of thinking about blowing them for wishes. I love them at sunset. I take a lot of images of dandelions. And then the buttercups, and kind of remembering my childhood, lying down in fields of buttercups. One of the images I took actually I won some binoculars from the Lancashire Wildlife Competition last year. So, that was just, it was just so special. We did some images where my friend was diving into the buttercups, with dive equipment. And then the daffodils, they're just all reminders of childhood. I also became quite fascinated with looking at agapanthus and how they grow and kind of, start to come out. Where the Wild Things Are was one of my favourite stories when I was a child. And a couple of years ago, just as we were coming out of lockdown, two of my friends passed away, one from cancer and one from COVID. One of them was in Malaysia. She died of COVID. I believe she also had TB, which had been recently diagnosed. She was someone I was really close to, and also shared my love of children's books over there. And while I was trying to come to terms with their death, I was staying with my friends on a farm for a retreat. But I was there just before the retreat, and I had a little Max figure with me, and I kind of recreated the Where the Wild Things Are. I was in bed, and then Max came in the Wild Things, and it became a really creative project. The kind of Hurting series, so this was recreating a scene from my past, and kind of one that was quite devastating initially, and kind of it was another incident of something happening and feeling really, really unheard and unseen as well. And the bathroom where my friends lived reminded me of a bathroom where something bad had happened when I was really young. And so we kind of recreated it. I trusted her. She kind of took the images I painted myself. And then outside I have, the last part is kind of, I've got a veil, and I'm kind of wearing it, and it says, "Why can't anyone see how much I'm hurting?" And it was just my thoughts about what was happening. So shame, the shame project kind of started out when I started to think about how much it kind of can consume our lives. It started off, we had some old wallpaper at the farm, and I kind of wrote shame on it in really big letters with charcoal, and then kind of ripped it up and put it in the fire. I made a tree with lots of negative kind of things that were happening to me, and burnt it. And kind of then the shame project kind of went on. I've done a few versions of it. One where I wrote shame with leaves, and it was on top of some paper. This was all recycled paper that had been used for something else, and I kind of reused it and wrote shame in the leaves, and then let them blow away. Then wrote it in seaweed on the beach, and kind of let the tide take it as the tide came in. And I realised how mindful it was, and kind of, how much mindfulness has played a part in my photography. When I'm waiting for things, I'm looking at nature, I'm kind of spending time thinking about my images, and I realised that's been a real theme. And I think the one to end on is the birds. So last year I spent about 7 months working from home, and I was living in a new place by a river. It was beautiful, but it was really lonely. I was only seeing my colleagues once a week in the office, and basically the rest of the time my work also wasn't busy, and so the rest of the time I spent a lot of time with these birds, kind of watching them come and feed. And so I thought it was quite fitting to end with my new friends, the birds.